Don't, you know that saying, don't throw the baby out with the kitchen, don't throw the don't throw the baby out with the bath water, but you're bathing the baby in the kitchen sink. Okay, he's now laughing at me. Don't throw everything out. Some things you might need at a later date. Okay. So a lot of the younger generation, they're just kicking boomers to the curb and they're just treating them online like they're the problem, period. But he wants you to remember that we're all in this together. And he wants you to know that by judging and crucifying others, you're actually doing that to yourself. And he understands where you're coming from, but it's not the right way to go about it. And there will be a time when you yourselves will be at the same age as the boomers are now. And the younger generation will be looking up at you. Hello, hello. Have you ever wondered what is the difference between life on earth and life in heaven? And I thought it was quite interesting when Eric came to me and he wanted to talk about this topic. And so today I'll be channeling Eric from the YouTube channel, Channeling Eric. And I thought it was interesting that he used the word life in heaven. So it's not as if life ends once we leave this realm or this life, this earth, this body. Life continues. There is no end. You continue onwards. And I think that that's pretty fascinating and interesting that that continuation of life is what he wants to talk about today. You know, today he's calm. Usually he makes a big entrance, but he's really like straightforward. So let's see where this, I don't know if I should take this lightly or I usually don't see Eric calm. Okay. You know, when you're calm, that's freaking me out more than anything else. Okay, Eric, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. He says he wants us to believe that you can create, he says, bits and pieces. He's doing this with his hands, bits and pieces of heaven here on earth in your day-to-day lives. And okay, so he's doing this other thing like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. For many of you, your path ahead has already been carved out. For some of you, it's etched out. So it's not entirely carved, but it's etched out. And then he says, for some of you, he's chuckling, for some of you that like to live on the wild side or choose to operate in your own way without tuning into spirit, listening to spirit, follow any guidance from spirit. Well, he says, let's just say there are other ways of making life a lot easier for yourself. But that's up to you and your free will, choosing and consent to do so. He's giving the offer to each of us that if we want help implementing, bringing in a piece of heaven into our day-to-day lives, that all we have to do is ask. He's also asking us to watch our thoughts and also be aware of what we're watching and absorbing information-wise. Because if it continues to drop your frequency, then that's not good for you. No one here in the spirit world would do that or would bother doing that on a repeated, continuous basis. He's also saying, I was like, wait a minute. But this is what I was thinking too. When you're enveloped in this energy, this frequency, when you cross over, it's near impossible to stay focused on low vibrational thoughts or low vibrational things. If anything, the souls that cross over, they want to come back and help us here on earth lift and raise our frequency in order to make things easier and better for us. But we too, equally, he says, us here on earth have to want things to be easier. And at times, observe when we are sabotaging ourselves with the thoughts that we're having and the information and the material that we are taking in and absorbing or watching or reading. Things are going to get rockier and bumpier before they get better. And for some parts of the world, this will be far more rocky than other parts of the world. He says, if you feel guided to move, please do so. If you feel guided to stay put, please do so. In some areas, we may be experiencing some food shortages or the beginning. Okay. I'm noticing it where I live. So we used to have a selection of choice of items. It would be like, 5 different companies that are making pickles. Now we have 1, maybe 2. And if I want, the New York style pickles that come in, well, I'm going to pay an astronomical amount of money to get those, for example. And then other items I just don't see on the shelves anymore. They're not there anymore. So companies have closed up or they just can't sell their product here. So also like paper products, like Kleenex, for example, that's a staple my entire life. It's no longer being sold here. Charmin toilet paper, not going to get it at Costco here anymore or at Costco in general. I'm guessing, but I don't know for sure. So there are certain things that I'm noticing, they're not around anymore. Even like 10, 12 years ago, like the grocery store near my home, they used to make their own orange juice or they used to can their own pickles and it was awesome. They were the best, but those left. Even before COVID happened, those were gone. He's really urging us to go to our local farmer markets and like local producers instead of these big box chain grocery stores. He says we are definitely moving in the right direction by boycotting these larger grocery chains, and they're learning really quick that they can't mess with us. All right. Okay. So some of the differences between here on earth and heaven and life in heaven are earth has this frequency. Within this frequency, you can lift your own frequency. Even if the collective frequency is here, you can still raise your frequency up within that frequency if you so choose. And you work on this and you focus on the light and the lighter aspects in your life. You want it. He says for himself when he was on earth, it was very difficult to get there for lengthy periods of time. So he would go up for a time and down and up for a time and down and up for a time and then down again. He says that I'm more consistent with holding above. He's showing like an eagle flying above in the clouds. The eagle doesn't pay much attention to what's going on the ground when it's flying really high and it's soaring in the sky. He says now the difference in heaven is the frequency. He's showing me my roof, and he says the frequency would blow my roof right off. We would blow right through the top part of my house, right through. And in many ways, many of us in the placement of where we are here on earth would not be able to withstand that energy, that frequency to that maximum capacity. But we can still implement and introduce bits and pieces of heaven in your day-to-day lives here on earth if you so wish. You can simply ask for that. I'm saying yes. Absolutely. No question. He's saying that with me that and through many people on earth that heaven operates through in order to help lift and raise the frequency of others by being a beacon of light for others. And it's important that if you feel so guided that you step forward and be a beacon of light for others in your lives as well. And it might be in a different way, it might be in a different capacity, but still stepping forward and being a light for others in your life is so important. Here on earth, It's about separation, struggle, having enough, the constant worry and fear of not having enough or not having your needs met to thrive in life. Whereas in heaven, everything's met. Anything you can think of or conceive of or wish for, you can have instantaneously. And here on earth, the separation continues, he says, with us believing what other higher up individuals are saying to us or feeding to us information wise, rather than feeling our intuition, our gut feeling, asking questions. He loves TikTok because TikTok gives you more of a ground view rather than a news outlet view feeding you information. He thinks that more of us should follow along with TikTok. And he doesn't mean all the time. He's saying in spurts to see what's really going on in the world rather than what's being fed to you through the news outlets or the news broadcast. He's talking about keep the sheep calm, keep the sheep immobile, keep the sheep dumb. That's what he just said. It's important to educate ourselves, ask questions, feel if it feels right to you or not, rather than just believing blindly. There's that separation because we aren't following our intuition. We're not listening to our higher self and our soul and our team of angels, our spirit guides guiding us. A lot of us are so busy up in our heads, we don't take the time to feel if something feels right before taking action steps or believing what is being portrayed or information given to you. Versus in heaven, everyone can automatically communicate with each other telepathically at very rapid, fast paces. So if we need information, we can get it immediately. If I need to go somewhere, I can go there immediately. If I need to go to multiple places, I can go there immediately. If I need to help multiple individuals or on a much grander, broader scale, accomplish things that would have taken me lifetimes here on earth, I can do it like that. Here on earth, what? You're showing me a kitchen sink. Okay. It's like, you know that saying, like, okay, how do you want to say that? You know that saying, don't throw the baby out with the kitchen, don't throw the don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you're bathing the baby in the kitchen sink. Okay, he's now laughing at me. Don't throw everything out. Some things you might need at a later date. Okay. So a lot of the younger generation, they're just kicking boomers to the curb and they're just treating them online like they're the problem, period. But he wants you to remember that we're all in this together. And he wants you to know that by judging and crucifying others, you're actually doing that to yourself. And he understands where you're coming from, but it's not the right way to go about it. And there will be a time when you yourselves will be at the same age as the boomers are now. And the younger generation will be looking up at you. And he's also talking about the importance of focusing on the countries where we actually live rather than focusing outside of the country where we live. Focus on resolving and being strategic about the country in which you live in versus any other country or outside of your own country. That's really important because he says we can't fix everything. And it's really important to stay grounded instead of focusing all over outside of yourself. And he's also talking about there being repercussions of your actions. He says if you're okay with all repercussions of your actions, then he says go for it, but he recommends being grounded and focusing on one thing at a time and listing off the importance of the location in which you are living in. He's also talking about if you feel so inclined and so drawn to other locations outside of your country, go move there. Go see what it's really like. It'll be a very enlightening experience for you. But he's got a smirk on his face. He's basically saying that those of us in the Western societies, we don't realize how good we have it. We have no idea. And he would know from his vantage point because he's able to see what goes on here on Earth. He doesn't really recommend going and moving to these countries, but if you want to taste a real dose of the reality, it would be like on the job training for you. So go and check it out. Go see what it's really like instead of believing what others are telling you or what you're seeing on the news. He's also talking about listen to the ones that come from those countries that are trying to inform you and educate you about what it's really like. In heaven, we wouldn't waste our energy on things or topics or thoughts that drop our frequency, coupled with we can't. He says, because for the most part, we are, I think he says for the most part, because I think when he comes and he stretches his energy down here on Earth, he's now in this energy a bit, but he's still holding his energy high. But when you're like immersed in the light, when you cross over, you just can't, and you don't want to focus on the depths. He's also talking about if they pushed really hard to focus on the depths, they would have a talking to from the energy in heaven and their team of angels or their spirit guides, and they'd have a talking to. And yeah, now he's pointing at me. So if I perpetually go on a thought pattern that is dropping my frequency, maybe I'm dropping other people's energy around me because I keep talking about it, but it's not going to go anywhere. And by me talking about it, it's not going to change. But all I'm doing is dropping everyone's frequency, including my own. What happens is my angel has a word with me, very calmly, reminding me. So that can happen with me. So it's really important to catch ourselves, redirect ourselves if need be. Spirit is going to step forward, including ET Energy, Eric, or whomever it is, to get our attention to help with the awakening process here on Earth, because it sparks curiosity and questions and learning more. If any of you are interested, the next mediumship course that I'm teaching is coming up on June 14th to the 18th. I usually charge $185 for this course, but it's on sale for $125. So if that's something that is of interest to you, to channel spirit and connect with your angels, your loved ones, your spirit guides, ET energy, it's going to be so much fun. We have a really good group of people signed up already. It's amazing. It was amazing. The last one I just taught. I mean, we had like 35 people and it was awesome. Okay, Marcia, Eric, do you know my son Jordan? Can you ask him if it indeed was him that I saw shortly after his death? I get this. Okay. So that right there tells me that's a yes. Reaching out to you. Hi, Mom. He feels younger to me. Like, is he, well, they keep growing up on the other side, but to me, he feels like under the age of 10 or something of the sort. He's talking about having challenges or complications of sorts. Oh, it's so good over here, though. He doesn't need to tell me that. I can feel it. It's like pure bliss. Can you imagine being in eternal peace? That's what it's like. He's just telling me that he's doing really good. He keeps a watchful eye on you and everyone. He's talking about when it's necessary, he'll call in backup and bring in his own backup to come help everybody. And I'm seeing like a massive amount of angels. So he calls them in to come and If you guys need any help with anything, he brings them in. Okay. And he's giving me a thumbs up. I don't think he's hanging out with you all the time, but anytime you want to talk to him, at any time, okay, you just simply think the thought or say it to him and he'll get the message. He will hear it. He just said, thanks, Kristin. Renata, channeling to help people. You know what the feeling here is? It's a feeling of you've done so much for other people and you still are. It's constant. It's a constant thing. And they know that you're looking for a purpose in life, like a bigger meaning, a bigger purpose. But in the same breath, they'd like you to just hang back and receive the help that's being given to you. Yeah, they're talking about the amount of action and effort it would take to promote a business like that would be great. And they would prefer that you just hang back and receive the money, the help, or whatnot from whomever is in your life. What's going to happen over the next 5 years is going to be pretty bumpy here on Earth. So spirituality or spiritual topics won't be as popular over the next 5 years. So even I am being informed of this. So if I'm being informed of this, then that's what's going to happen. So it's a matter of kind of waiting it out. When people are struggling, and they're going to be struggling for some time, they're not really thinking about spiritual things or even being able to maybe afford a spiritual retreat or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of something that's going to be put on more of the back seat. If you are in this profession, you're really going to have to push hard to make it flourish for yourself continuously. Kristin calls this the grind. Okay, Eric. So Nina, let's just see where Spirit wants to take us. Ooh. First thing Eric's saying is that you've really been through it. He would prefer that you just rest and relax for now. Don't look at things as being like the next shoe that's about to drop or the next problem about to come. Rather, he wants you to rest and relax for now and allow yourself to just be taken care of. When we relax and we sleep and we take it easy, we allow the light to come forth and penetrate even more into our lives and help us out even more. When we're anticipating, that's coming from more of a trauma response. We're anticipating, well, what's going to happen next? We're bucking the current. Some people do. He says some people build walls up and then Spirit's still trying to get in to help us. But when we just chill, he says, when we just chill, okay, then it allows us to step forward and help you even more. He says long term, you really want to be doing that because then you're going to manifest many more easier days and experiences to come in the future rather than, he says, like, I almost feel like I'm running on a treadmill. I'm like running on a treadmill and it's like, it's just constant, one thing after another, one thing after another. And then the more you focus on that, the more you create one more thing after another, right? And he doesn't want you to go and live a life like that. Focus on what you want to create, nothing else. You know, I haven't taught this course in, I think, 2 years now. So it's been a long time, the 102 course coming up on the 14th. And you don't have to take the beginner's course to take this one. It's another course that's being offered, separate information, separate giant ebook to work from. And yeah, Paul has been around he started my courses, I think 6 or 7 years ago. And now Paul is helping me teach the courses. Isn't that cool? And if you feel like, oh, you're working or you got a busy schedule, just pop in around your own schedule. It's all saved there for you to catch up on. And then after the course, you just download all the material to watch as many times as you want. So it's pretty awesome. You've got a low vibrational mother-in-law. Woo, I think everyone can learn from this one, Wendy. Okay. She's obsessed with bad news, yes, and not sure how to relate. Okay, yeah. I've had some friends in my life, and every time I went over, it was constant. Oh, when Trump was in power, that's all I heard about. It was just one thing after another. Then you get in the car, and they turn the radio on to the news. You couldn't get away from it. It was either on the TV or it's on the radio in the car. And I was like, can we please turn this off? Like, we're going out to Costco. I'm trying to have a good time with you. It's kind of hard to do that when we're always focusing on this, garbo. And so ultimately, I just kind of parted ways with her, my friend, because it just never stopped. It just never stopped. And the friendship became very one-sided. Let's put it that way. So what can Wendy do in regards to allow her to be as she chooses? Because you're not going to change her anyways. Okay. Sidestep her. So that means like, oh, you're busy in the next room. And if it's uncomfortable for you, you're busy outside watering, you're busy off with the horses, you're just not around. So it's about sidestepping, ignoring, limiting time with her, and don't let her drag you down. The thing about blues, Wendy, blue life colors, is everybody wants to tell you all their problems. Everybody wants to lay it on you. And you're the one to hold it all together with the whole family unit. But with this, you ain't holding nothing together. There's no holding nothing together. We have to know when to walk away. We have to know when to ignore or be busy somewhere else outside of that room where she is. So you're going to get real good at that. Every soul that has ever crossed over, that has ever come through me to chat with me, through me for others, it's like a massive blessing. It is the ultimate best thing you can imagine, crossing over. But we don't cross over until it's our time. I've only met 2 souls where they were stuck because of their belief systems. And one was actually stuck because he wasn't even talking to me. He couldn't even form a thought. He was that stuck. He was he didn't know where he was or what was happening. But something must have guided him to do some yelling of a disembodied voice right beside my head. It was like a long groan, but it came out of nowhere with no vocal cords. And you knew that it came from no vocal cords. So I just calmly went outside and called Jesus in to help take care of this soul. And it felt like a male, and he was stuck. I don't know how long he was stuck there for, but I'm telling you, he was stuck for so long. That's what we do. Cleanup crew here on Isle Earth. we're helping everyone. Okay, I'm going to channel one last question or message from Eric, and then I have to go off and teach my class. So let's see what's coming in. You choose. You're the observer. You can participate or not, hone in and sense and feel before taking action steps, before blindly going off and believing. He's not saying that everything's perfect. It's not. But you don't come to Earth for things to be perfect, he says. So remember that. Just do the best that you can. Treat others the way you yourself would like to be treated. Speak up for yourself. Know that as heavy and as dark as things feel on Earth at this time, that there are many other implants of light being planted here on Earth. Other leaders, other healers, other areas that are being engulfed by the light and taken over by the light. This turbulence will only be lasting for a period of time, not forever. Remember that. He's doing a winky when he says that. Remember that. Blessings. He's just sending each of us blessings. I do want blessings, and I do want heaven to be implemented into my day-to-day life to make things easier and better. and then to funnel out of me to help others in my life to the best of my ability. And what a beautiful way to end this broadcast. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye. He's also saying, call on me if you need me for anything.